fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Hater fuel. Hey everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds, back again, Salt Strong Unchurched, talking about haters. This is something that's come up with us personally. It's going to come up with my kids. It's going to come up with your kids. Maybe you're dealing with it right now yourself or with kids, grandkids, friends, family, spouse, whatever. This day and age, I don't know that there's necessarily more haters than ever before. I'm guessing there is, but certainly haters have a place to voice their hatred of you, your organization, your thoughts, your new idea, the big thing that you're impacting, whatever it might be, more than ever before with social media. We've now basically given everyone, including evil and horrible people, a platform, a megaphone, if you will, a voice to talk about their hatred of you. And there's really not many consequences for these haters, right? So they know they can say pretty much whatever they want. And for the most part, as long as they don't threaten your life or anything, they can kind of get away with it. And, they can sleep well at night. Probably not, honestly. Most of them have low self-esteem and they're using, their hatred and their condescending ways to try to build themselves up. And we all know that deep down, but it hurts. I've had some horrible stuff said about myself and from people who've never met me, never even interact with me, just don't like the fact that we're succeeding with Salt Strong or even Unchurched. And I'm going to talk about that here in a second because the reason I want to do this is I've seen a couple of my friends and people that I was just rooting for that I don't know really well have quit way too early because of the haters. They let the haters get in their head. And you really have one of two choices when you do get haters. And you will get haters if you're doing something big and impactful, especially if you're doing something big for God. It will automatically guaranteed create some haters and some people trying to knock you down. And the two options are, one, you use it as fuel, hater fuel, which is the name of this podcast, or you let it get under your skin, or you let it get to you mentally and you start worrying about it and you just said, you know what, I'm going to throw in the towel and give up. And that's exactly what they want you to do. That's exactly what Satan wants you to do. And guess what? They don't care about you. They just move on to the next person trying to tear them down. So let's start with talking about Salt Strong Unchurched. This podcast right here. This was scary as can be. It's not scary anymore, but I remember the first really 10, 15 episodes were scary. The first one was absolutely terrifying. And what I mean by that is, we were a fishing club, right? We had a lot of momentum. We were finally to the point where, Luke and I were able to pay ourselves a little bit from this whole thing. And all of a sudden we were going to quote unquote risk it all and potentially, destroy the company by putting our religious beliefs out there and having this unchurched. It was something that we felt called to do. Felt called to do that and use this platform for God and basically to hand this company over to God for quite some time. And honestly, fear was holding us back. And I remember hitting that very first email as a Sunday morning. It's going out to about 70,000 people on our email list. And it was Unchurched episode number one, Is God Real? And if you haven't heard that one, it's a spectacular podcast with Pastor Johnny Kelly sharing his unbelievable story of getting saved from, being on drugs and in a rock band, and really, really wild story. And to the point you're like, all right, God has to be real after hearing that and hearing some other stories we shared. And I remember hitting that email to the 70,000 people and just thinking, all right, God, I'm praying you are going to protect us, that you are going to use this to build us up. We're handing this over to you. And in the same point, if this is not meant to be, then show us the next door, open up the path far and wide for whatever is next. And we did get some haters right off the bat. We had people, I still save some of the emails. And by the way, this was 2+ years ago, we did the first Unchurched, and people were saying, guarantee, mark my word, you guys will be out of business and done in 6 months or less. And people were literally just, angry to the point I couldn't even understand it. Like, wow, why don't you just skip it if you don't like it, right? I mean, there's no way you like every single fishing tip we've put out. Why don't you just skip it? And yet it was burning people up. And I was like, wow, there is like some legitimate evil, like Satan stuff happening. It was so visible that, I mean, right? Why else would someone get that upset about us sending an email or even not even the email, just putting it on social media? And we had people who were flaring up, ticked off, ready to come towards us. It was crazy. And I'm like, and even thankfully, a lot of our fans were like, all right, hey guys, it's like anything. If you don't like it, skip it. You don't have, they're not forcing you to listen to this. It was just absolutely nuts. And the really cool part, let me just kind of fast forward to what happened. So after all that fear and after, a bunch of haters, it did get to the point where it was impacting my Sundays. But yet I felt like, God, I promised you I'm going to do this every Sunday. I want to keep, I want to keep this thing going. I want as many people as possible that do need to hear this message to hear it. And so I'm still out there posting it on social media, and what would happen is there would be haters, and honestly, they would get to me. And so I'd end up spending half of my Sunday, refreshing my Facebook feed and YouTube, of just replying to haters or deleting comments. And it ended up honestly kind of ruining a big chunk of my Sunday. My wife is finally like, Joe, like, this is not healthy for you to do this. I know this is important to you. I know this is God's work, but just put it out there and let it be. Don't worry about what haters are saying. Basically, don't let them get to you. And so I stopped and ironically stopped posting as much. And then all of a sudden stopped posting at all. And here's the craziest part. For the last, 5 months, I have not posted a single Unchurched anywhere. Literally, it's not on social media. I don't post it on my Facebook page. I don't post it anywhere. It just goes on the iTunes and the Stitcher, just, does what it automatically does. Whereas all the other podcasts, like the normal Salt Strong Fishing Tip podcast, we're sending it out, to 70,000 plus people. It's going on a blog. I mean, it's going on social media. It's going out everywhere. And here's the craziest part. The Unchurched episodes get almost as many downloads as the normal Salt Strong Fishing podcast episodes that are getting sent out to 70,000 people and going all over social media. And if that doesn't make you realize that there is a God and God will open up the doors that he wants open, I mean, that's crazy. Think about this. So I've gone from not posting it at all, right, and just trusting God. God, if you want to get this message out there, you're going to put it on the right person's lap. That's what I pray before I record every one of these messages, is that God puts this right message to the right person, the right time, literally right in their lap. And I get emails all the time where people like, I was praying over this and all of a sudden this podcast literally like landed in my lap. People have said that it's like literally just hit me. And all of a sudden it was in my feed. I don't even know where it came from. People have said that, like, I literally had this episode came in my feed, or it popped up here. And I can't even explain how it happened. It doesn't even make sense. And God has now used this podcast and grown it to the point of our other podcasts, like the ones that we're doing on our fishing, right? That we're sending out to 70,000 people and putting it in front of hundreds of thousands of people on social media. This Unchurched episodes gets zero publicity, and yet God is putting it in front of the right people at the right time. It's absolutely amazing. And so I truly do believe that if you give God the glory and you pray that God put this in the right place, make this happen, if it's supposed to be, obviously it needs to be on his time, not ours, and he will do the work. He will make it happen. He is got more power than anyone and can make anything happen. It has been so wild to see it. I've shown people the numbers because they don't believe me. They're like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you've got to be emailing this out. Like, nope, we're not doing anything. It just keeps growing and keeps happening. It is absolutely wild. Same thing happened, with our Salt Strong Fishing Club. We had a ton of haters. I remember the people in the beginning, man, why are you doing this stupid club? Just be YouTubers like everyone else. That was the number one thing we heard. Why can't you just be like everyone else and just be a YouTube channel and stop with this whole Insider Club? Like, we wanted to be bigger. We wanted to have a family. We wanted to have a community. We wanted to create software like we've just created. We wanted to do more than just put up YouTube videos. We felt like God was calling us to grow this into a real club, a real organization. And I'm glad we did. We just celebrated 30,000 members here recently in our Insider Club. And had we let those haters get to us, and I'll be honest, we had conversations in the early days when it was tough to really grow that club of, man, maybe we should just be YouTubers. Maybe these people are right. And that's what they want. That's what Satan wants. Satan wants you to start second guessing yourself and say, man, maybe these haters are right. Don't do it. I'm in the midst right now of reading the book about Ray Scott. Ray Scott was the founder of Bass. Obviously, a lot of similarities between the Salt Strong Insider Club and Bass, which is the largest fishing club of all time with like 500,000 members, maybe 400,000 now. At one point, it was over 600,000. And Ray Scott passed away recently, and I was like, I know a lot about him, but I've never actually read the book. And so I'm reading the book right now, and it was, wow. It was so cool to hear in these early chapters that he went through the same thing. Even his wife, he said at one point, was praying with their entire church that Ray would fail and, as quick as possible. Cause she's like, he's destined to fail. He might as well fail quickly and come back to, selling insurance, and which, she thought he was meant to do. And now, look at where Ray Scott is. If you don't know Ray Scott, I mean, he started Bass. That means the Bass Master Classic, Bassmaster Magazine. I mean, basically, we wouldn't know about bass fishing had it not been for Ray Scott. And one of his very first tournaments, he had a young man named Bill Dance. I mean, the rest is history. It's really, really cool story. And he talks about all of the haters, how everyone said this would never work. Why would anyone care about bass fishing? This, like, no one's going to join your stupid club. And now, 500,000 members, right? I mean, it's wild. And had he listened, he says, he's like, and there were days where I would make no money, just like Luke and I did for a couple of years. He's like, there were days we made no money. I felt like I had no momentum. There was more haters in my ear than anything else. And I thought about giving up. I was like, maybe they're right. I knew I could go back to selling insurance, and he debated it many, many times. And thank goodness he didn't. So I just want to leave you with this. I don't know where you are. I don't know. And maybe this is even for your kids or grandkids. Maybe this is something that they're supposed to be hearing right now, that they're either dealing with or will have to deal with. But if you're doing what you're called to do, like, deep in your heart, this is what you're called to do. If it's something that fuels you and it's good and it's right and it gives God glory, you've got to go all in. You've got to not ignore the haters, because the haters can be good. Like I said, I still remember what some people said, and I use that as fuel. You do need to ignore just some of the dumb haters that absolutely are worthless, but there's some that you can learn from, and there are some that will absolutely get you fired up, and you can use it as fuel. Too many give up early. Don't be those too many. I mean, had Ray Scott given up early, we might not be here, meaning me and you with this Salt Strong, right? I mean, he literally grew the sport of bass fishing like 10x, which grew all types of fishing. With Salt Strong, I mean, we certainly wouldn't be here if we'd given up early when people said we should just, be YouTubers. We wouldn't have a podcast. We wouldn't be doing any of this stuff. We wouldn't have our 30,000 members who are like our family. And so I urge you that once again, if you know what you're doing is right, just remember that. Give God the glory any and all times that you can, even when it's scary. Just like our Unchurched, it was super scary to do that. And now we've seen both our company, we've seen the amount of people that we reach. Everything has just skyrocketed when we did that, and we were just bold and faithful. So I urge you to don't give up early. Use the haters as fuel. And if you ever have any questions on it, hit me up, because I've heard everything you could possibly imagine. And I've got many, many more stories of people who have used the haters to fuel, their burning desire to make an impact, to fuel their career or their business or their family, whatever it might be. So don't give up. Use the haters' language, and the rude things they say is absolute fuel to propel you to the next level, to give you even more courage to give God the glory and to do big things. And when you do those amazing things, make sure to thank Him. That's something that I try to be cognizant of all the time, is to thank God every time that we hit a new milestone or something good happens. I should be doing it every day, right? And a lot of times I do in my little journal, but just to always thank God for protecting you and flooding you with His favor in all that you do. So hope this was helpful. Once again, like always, if you have any questions or thoughts, I'd love to hear from you, joe@saltstrong.com. Or if you're starting something new, I love hearing from young and old people who are starting something new, or, whether it be a nonprofit or a new business or a side business or just something you're doing internally at the company you work for. Let me know. I love to give feedback, and I love hearing ideas, and I love helping you through struggles, because we all have them. We all continue to have them. And the bigger you're dreaming and the bigger you're thinking, normally the more haters you will attract. So I will talk to you guys on the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul. It was past